I want to spend a couple minutes covering the reading for today and the assignment. We started it late last week. We're going to get into it today, and that is understanding the concept of tyranny, a word you don't hear very often, and how we stop it in the Constitution with checks and balances. The front and the back of the assignment goes over that. But let's talk about addressing the prompts, and each question really is a writing prompt. Use the race format in starting your sentence. So, done this before in previous assignments. You're going to use that question as the beginning sentence stem of your answer. Always write in complete sentences. I'm already grading some of the ones that have been turned in. Some students are losing points because they're giving partial answers. Always make sure your entire sentence is complete. This is something you should have been doing since 4th grade. It's a basic expectation of all students, and it's something I'm going to be looking for. Simplify the language if it helps. Some of the reading may have some pretty difficult words. Take a minute, and we'll talk about a technique of doing that in just a couple of minutes, on how you can simplify some complicated language into something a little easier to understand. When it asks for specific information, you got to point out specific evidence. Get in the habit of doing that. If it asks for general answers, fine. But if it's asking for one specific way to do something, then you got to be able to refer to the document and give that answer. And we'll also talk about reading the chart on the back side of the page. So, on the front side, you've got a simple reading. It's called a background essay on how did the Constitution guard against tyranny. And it's a relatively short reading, but it really goes into the idea of rock, paper, scissors. If you recall, rock beats scissors, scissors beat paper, paper beats rock. Each one of these has a control over each other. And that's essentially how our three branches operate. They have a basic control, what we call a check, over the others from being able to do anything they want. So as you're reading and then looking through the questions, 4 simple questions, remember first of all to use those questions as the beginning of your sentence stem. What was the main reason the Founding Fathers decided to get rid of the Articles of Confederation? Shorten up that answer. The Articles were removed because the Founding Fathers, and then move on from there. Simple, easy way to start your sentence. Question 2 says, find the definition of tyranny in the reading and highlight or underline it. I'll expect that. After reading it, you're going to simplify the definition you saw in the reading to something a little more understandable. Now, I've picked one of the 2 definitions that were in the reading. The accumulation of all powers in the same hands, whether it's one, a few, or many, is the very definition of tyranny. Accumulation is a pretty big word. It's not something you may be familiar with. Use your phone, use a mobile device, use a dictionary or thesaurus, a paper version. And you're going to look up accumulation. Well, I've done it for you. Here's a simple way of looking at it. Gathering or collecting. So, when all power is collected in the same hands, whether it's one person or one group, that is tyranny. All the power is in one place. That is tyranny. The backside is important also because it has a quote from James Madison, the man largely responsible for writing the Constitution, and it's got a diagram below for you to be able to understand it. If you recall, there are 5 questions. Questions 2 through 5 have to do with the chart here, and the chart is very simple to read. The chart has 3 branches, and it tells you in between each of the branches the ways they control each other. For example, the judicial branch, based on the arrow, controls the executive branch by declaring presidential acts unconstitutional. The legislative branch controls the presidency and the elective branch, or the executive branch, because Congress can impeach the president and remove him or her from office. That's what the middle information is, and the arrows tell you how one controls the other. Going back to that idea of making sure we don't have tyranny, breaking it up, and having some controls over each other. The quote up here. When reading it, you may want to find a simpler way in order to define a word. The constant aim is to divide and arrange the several offices in such a manner as they may be a check on the other. That right there, constant aim. Maybe I want to use something other than aim. I could use goal. The goal is to divide and arrange. Okay, I understand goal. So when answering the questions, please, again, make sure you're addressing the question. That question 1 is about, what was James Madison saying about power? Question 5 is, especially on the bottom section, how did we actually achieve it? If you have any questions, please let me know. I have provided an electronic version of the front and back of the document, and I've got paper versions for you. And I'm always available during lunch or most days after school, just prearranged. I'll talk to you later.